Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing and doing a first impression on the m.a.c Studio Fix Fluid. I think this is m.a.c's most popular foundation line, so I thought I would try their lightest shade, which is NW10. Now, there isn't any other m.a.c foundation range that actually goes down to NW10. All the others NW15. So I thought that it would be one that's worth trying. So m.a.c Studio Fix Fluid, it's one of those foundations where it doesn't come with a pump. You have to buy the pump separately. So the foundation itself is $29 US and the pump is $10 US. And in Australia it's 50 Australian dollars, and again the pump is 10 Australian dollars. So they claim that it's on their site that it's an oil controlling formula that offers a matte finish with a medium to full coverage, and you'll get to see my opinions on that later on in the video. And it also has SPF 15 in it. The site also says that the formula lasts for a full 24 hours. Obviously I won't be testing it for 24 hours today, but I'll be testing it for about 12, maybe 11 actually, because I'm filming this a bit late. They say that it's got buildable coverage, so I'll be also testing that out. And again, they say that it controls shine and that it's extremely long wearing. And they also say it gives the skin a smoother, more flawless look and finish. So I'll be testing all those claims and you'll see that shortly if you just keep watching. So I've put some moisturiser on my face, and I've used the Asano Rosehip Moisturiser. I've also done a light spray of m.a.c Prep and Prime Fix Plus, just all over my face. I've got my Studio Fix Fluid Foundation, and I'm going to do half my face with the Sigma F80 flat top kabuki brush, and I'm going to do the other half of my face with a damp beauty blender. I'll start with one pump on each side of my face and see if I need more. Alright, well I'll start with the beauty blender side first, and I'll be doing that on this side. So I'll mainly just put it in problem areas. I always prefer putting my foundation on with my fingers first, because if you just put it straight on with the sponge, a lot of it gets absorbed up into the sponge before it's even on your face. Right, so that is one pump, and I'll blend that in. It's a very light medium coverage. It certainly hasn't covered any of my freckles, and I can still see all the stuff under my eyes. Still see a few of my breakouts. So yeah, I wouldn't call it light, I would definitely call it medium, but it's on the lighter end of the medium. Alright, I'm going to do the other side of my face now, which is the kabuki side. I'm just going to spray my brush with a tiny bit of Fix Plus, because it's dry and it's clean, and it can be kind of hard to move the product when it's like that. Okay. So I'm just kind of stippling this in. So that's the one layer done with the kabuki brush. Alright, I think I'm going to use one more pump on both sides of my face because I don't really think this is enough coverage. And I've just put that in the spots that I think I need it. Alright, so that's one more pump on the Beauty Blender side. Definitely slightly more full coverage. I would still call it a medium coverage. My freckles are still visible. It looks quite heavy, like it doesn't look flawless, like it doesn't look like skin. You know, you can tell looking at it that I'm wearing foundation. As you can see, looking at this, it's not an exact match. I think it's oxidized a bit, which I know MAC products can do. It's just a tiny bit darker than my neck. So it's something you would probably have to bring down your neck, which is annoying, but it's only a tiny bit. It's not a major deal, but it's definitely got darker as it's been sitting on my skin. Right, so I'm just gonna zoom you in. I just want to show how it's kind of looking around my eyes and stuff. Like, it's kind of hard to see, but you know, it's caking around my eyebrows and it's caking a bit around my nose. It looks best on my cheeks. So remember that this side is the kabuki side and this side is the sponge. Yeah, I don't love it. It looks heavy for a medium coverage. You would expect, you know, if it's going to look this sort of cakey, you would expect it to be for a more full coverage foundation than it is. But there's definitely, it is more dewy on the sponge side than it is on the kabuki side. So that's definitely one thing to remember if you have it or you're going to buy it and you don't like the dewy look, or you do like the dewy look. You can use either method, but they've applied exactly the same. There's no difference between the two applications, so you can use either of those methods. So I'm just going to put some concealer and powder on. So for concealer today, I'm going to use the m.a.c Prolongwear concealer, and I'm going to mix it in with some of the LA Girl Pro Coverage lightening foundation. I use this because this concealer is NC15 and obviously this is NW10, and it's going to be way too dark for me by itself, but it's the lighter shade that they come in. So all I do is just get my little palette, which I put my foundation on. So I've pumped half a pump, and then I'm just going to squeeze a few little drops of the LA Girl on top of the white. And then I just mix them together. So I just put it on kind of problem areas, areas I want to lighten. And then I'll go in with my beauty blender. Alright, so I've blended all that out and it's brightened up my face. And so then I'm just going to finish with some Makeup Forever HD powder. And so I'll just lightly powder. I'm not going to bake. And just set the concealer under my eyes. Right, I'm just going to go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so I've finished the rest of my makeup and I've done a little tutorial on that and I will upload that shortly. I think the foundation is looking much nicer now that I've finished everything. You can definitely see it's a little bit too dark for my skin. Look at that difference. So obviously I am slightly lighter than NW10 and that is the lightest shade in MAC, so it's a bit of a shame. I think it's looking nice, but I think the one problem I have with it, apart from the fact that it's too dark for me, is that I had to use 4 pumps of foundation to get this sort of coverage. And you would run out of the foundation pretty quickly if you were using 4 pumps every day. So if you're looking for a fuller coverage foundation, I don't think this is the one. If you are quite happy with just a light coverage and you like that nice sort of glowiness that this gives but not too glowy, then this one would be pretty good. If you like a very light medium coverage, then you could use maybe 2 pumps and you would get enough. So the time is 11:30. I will check in a few hours and see how it's going, how it's still sitting on my skin, see how it's, the oil control is working and whether I start getting oily around my T-zone where I normally do after a few hours. I'll do my hair and do a few things, have lunch, and we'll see how it all goes. Alright, we'll see you soon. Alright, so it's 3 PM now, so it's been 3.5 hours since I did my makeup. Well, since I finished my makeup. And I think the foundation is actually looking quite good. As you can see, I'm slightly more dewy than I was before, but I just look glowy, like I don't look oily yet. I'll just zoom you in just to have a closer look. It definitely looks like it's separating a bit around my nose, like it doesn't look great around here. My nose particularly looks bad, but it doesn't look any worse than it did when I first put the makeup on. It hasn't got too much worse, it's maybe just separated a bit more around my pores, like my pores look larger than they did before. I wouldn't say that this is a foundation that's going to last 24 hours. At the rate it's going, I reckon I'm going to get maybe 6 to 9 hours out of it before it will be looking very oily. Obviously I'm not going to be testing it for 24 hours, but I couldn't see it lasting that long anyway, even if I was. Since I did my makeup, I've been outside and I've spent a bit of time in the sun and I've done some light work. I haven't done anything to like work up a sweat, so I wouldn't expect it to be too oily. It basically looks the same as when I put it on. The only difference is that it's got a bit shinier. You can see the oil is like threatening to break through. Alright, so I will check in again later, probably this evening, just before I'm about to take it off. So that will probably be at around 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. Right, see you then. Alright, so I'm back and the time is 9:40. So I've had this foundation on for 10 hours basically. And as you can see, I'm an absolute grease ball. I look so greasy. I'm just so oily, and it's only been 10 hours, and this foundation is supposed to wear for 24 hours, and as m.a.c claims, it is meant for oil control. And this is like the complete opposite, because I don't have oily skin. My skin it does tend to be slightly oily in the T-zone, but I've always been dry my whole life, and the oiliness I get is only like very light oiliness. It's not oily compared to a lot of people. So I haven't had a particularly physically active day today. It hasn't been very hot. In fact, it's actually been quite a cool day, where in Australia we're coming into spring, but today's been a very cool spring day. It's only been about 19 degrees Celsius. So it hasn't been hot, I haven't been sweating, I haven't been out exercising, I've just been at home inside. So it hasn't held up well. I think this foundation will be good for short-term use if you only wanted a few hours wear out of it, if you wanted a medium coverage for a few hours at work or something like that, or maybe at night time if you went out and you were going to be in the dark and it didn't really matter whether it looked a little bit cakey and heavier than usual, then this would be fine. But if you wanted to get a full day's wear out of this, particularly if you were doing more physically active things, or if you lived in the heat or the humidity, then I don't think this is the foundation for you, because it looks so oily on me, and I'm not a particularly oily person. And I think it's quite disappointing, because m.a.c claims all these things about it being long lasting and 24-hour wear and being oil control. Studio Fix fluid is their most popular line, and a lot of people love it. So the fact that it hasn't worked on me doesn't mean it won't work on you. But I definitely think you should go get a sample of it before you try it. I'm just going to zoom you in to see what it looks like up close. As you can see, I am just so oily. I know this is a bit up close and personal. And everything stayed. My eyeshadow has stayed. Like, nothing has melted off my face. And I look orange. I've definitely oxidized more throughout the day than when I started, as you can see. I mean, just around this area here, it looks really orange where it's a bit heavier. So anyway, I hope this has helped you, and if this has made up your mind about whether to try it or not, I think if you had very dry skin, you could try it. But then again, it looked quite dry and cakey around my nose, where I start dry normally. I always have to moisturize my nose because I start so dry. And also, I didn't use primer, and maybe using an oil controlling primer could work. That might be something I need to try in the future and see if that helps. So overall, I'm not particularly impressed for this first impressions on the m.a.c Studio Fix Fluid. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about this foundation. It's pretty obvious just by looking at me, you know, the negative things about it, but there are some positives. It is a lighter foundation that it feels really good on the skin. Like, I can't feel it. I don't feel oily. I don't feel too bad, actually. It looks worse than it feels on my skin. So I don't feel like I'm wearing a mask, even though it does look a bit heavier than other foundations. Please give this a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, And if you're interested in seeing more first impression reviews for the lightest and the palest foundation shade possible, then subscribe, and I will continue posting every Tuesday and Friday. Thanks for watching.